is it true you can't hypnotize someone who doesn't want to be hypnotized?
It's true in most cases. You can do what's called an ambush induction, but it's kind of the piece of hypnosis that we're not supposed to talk about.
If you're here for improv, go away. This is Other Than Improv with Anthony Francis.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Other Than Improv. I'm your host, Anthony Francis, and today my guest is an improviser with the third thought, an improv teacher and performer from all over the place. He's a rogue. He's a Ronin. He travels around. He's got no ties to anybody but himself and his improv code. And, well, the third thought, of course, his team. He's worked with various improv theaters across Florida, and he's also a very good friend of mine, which we'll get into in a moment, actor, improviser, and hypnotist, Patrick McInnis. Hey, Patrick.
Hello, Anthony. How are you?
I am doing so good. I'm so glad you're here. I have so many things to ask you, especially about hypnotism. I do want to say, though, to you and to the audience, because I could have just gushed about you, but I wanted to introduce you so you're not sitting there in silence. Patrick,
Very nice.
Patrick, you were so vital, so pivotal to me as an improv teacher, which I know you remember this. I hope you remember us having this conversation so many years ago.
Oh, yeah, like it was yesterday.
Right.
But it was like 7 years ago now, or 6 years ago, a long time ago.
Yeah, we're going on 7 years. And I was so lost. I didn't know how to really build my classes. I really wanted to teach improv, but I didn't quite know where to go. And you had this great drop-in program that you recommended, and you helped me flesh it out. And you really helped me build what I have today. And I don't think I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for the advice that you gave me. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. You're welcome. Yeah, it was a really explosive time in improv at that time. Like there were like all over the state, we were kind of connected to a bunch of groups that were all kind of burgeoning and doing stuff. And so I was grateful to have the opportunity to speak to you that day. And I know at that point I'd been running a couple drop-ins a week along with teaching like leveled classes at a couple schools and theaters. And so I was grateful to be able to pass that along. So thank you very much.
I just wanted to get it on the record. That's as much improv as we're going to talk about now because...
Great, yeah, because that's not what this show's about.
Nope, this show is all about hypnotism. You are a hypnotist. You've hypnotized me. You did at a festival. You tried to help me stop biting my nails, which was very effective for a time.
We can do another session.
I might need that. So I definitely need that. But tell us about that. What is? Where do we start with hypnotism? What's the first thing we should know? Is it magic? Are you magic?
Yes. No, it's not magic. Yes, I am a magician. No, actually, it's funny. I had this quote I shared a long time ago that I really believe in, which it's not magic to the magician.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like at the end of the day, like that's what it is. Like, it's not, but in hypnosis is not magic. It's something we actually experience every single day. Like we go into trance states usually at least once every 90 minutes.
Really?
And it matches the same cycle that we go into dream states. So even though we're not sleeping, we're still, most everybody, 99% of the population, or probably slightly less than that, can all daydream. And if you can daydream, then you've experienced a trance state.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's this place. That's why it's not as foreign. And when the only thing that's kind of foreign about it is being guided there.
Right. The hypnotist guides you through it or into it.
Yeah, you agree to it. It's very much like improv. I started doing hypnosis a couple years before I started doing improv. And immediately I was a pretty skilled improviser because of this background. And not so much just learning the act of hypnotism, but by the time I started improvising, I had done dozens and dozens of live hypnosis shows where I had hypnotized hundreds to now thousands of people. But where you're running a show with 20 people on stage and people in the audience who might have dropped into trance. So to do that, you have to be incredibly aware of everything happening. and developing that awareness of running a one-person show where you're literally dropping a dozen or more people into trance. Knowing what we know about improv, even though we're not talking about it, awareness and listening is huge. And because of that awareness I had, immediately improv became a little bit easier, because I was already good at kind of paying attention to people.
And you can't force someone into hypnosis. Is it true you can't hypnotize someone who doesn't want to be hypnotized?
It's true in most cases. You can do what's called an ambush induction, but it's kind of the piece of hypnosis that we're not supposed to talk about. And
oh no.
Yeah, it's a little dark side of hypnosis, but you can put someone into trance without them asking to. But it's unethical, and so there you go.
Wow. Okay. So if I get put into if I get hypnotized, can I unhypnotize myself? Can I break myself out of a trance? Or what's going on with those people on stage? Are they actors?
No. Again, I've had like a lot of shows, and if I feel somebody is not sincerely in trance, if I feel like somebody is kind of just going along with stuff, I'll kick them off the stage because it lessens my show. And
I've seen that before. I've seen a show. I've seen Rance Rizzuto.
Yeah, I know Rance.
Yeah. I've seen him do his show, and I saw him do that where he just takes people and takes them off the show because they're not really feeling it, or he's not sure if they're really feeling it.
And that's the thing. They may either be distracted. Maybe they went up feeling embarrassed. Like you need somebody who wants to have the experience because it is kind of unique. It is. I mean, even though we daydream all the time and we sleep and dream all the time, and it's a very similar state, we don't experience this all the time. So the idea of, once somebody is in a trance state, you can literally make them into Wayne Brady. This was like before I did improv, I used to say I turn regular people into Wayne Brady. Because the skits that I do through the, hypnosis, people become like real performers. Like they, and because, and it's not that they can't perform and then I've turned them into a performer. They just normally don't sing in front of people.
But they don't have those sick rhymes though that Wayne Brady pulls out.
They absolutely can bust out sick rhymes.
What?
Yeah, I haven't tested that, but I have. But still, like people can absolutely dance and get down and become characters. Like the commitment level exceeds almost anything we've seen on stage through improv because they're fully believing this. Like there's in their mind, it's completely real.
Wow.
So yeah, it's all legitimate. It's not to say now I've seen hypnotists who don't care as much, so they'll either keep people on or their show is so kind of limited that people who are just going along with stuff like become part of a show and it's fine. That's never been like an approach for me. Like similar to my approach to improv, like I really like real scenes. I like legitimate scene work, and versus like say, or with hypnosis where people can allow this stuff to go on and it's they're not part of it, although you're watching it. I would rather kick those people off so that like the show, everybody that sees it goes, wow, those people are legitimately experiencing this.
Right. Oh yeah. So it's really just to kind of highlight and focus in more on the people who are really experiencing it. We're getting a real kind of behind the scenes look at kind of the performance aspect of it as well. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your journey with hypnosis. How did you get started? What drew you to it?
I had always kind of been aware of it. My dad didn't shy away from like paranormal stuff or just interesting stuff that I'd get to learn about as a kid. And then when he was about 48 and I was 14, he was a 30-year, 2.5 pack a day smoker. And he went to a hypnotist at a hotel where he sat down or laid down on the carpet where you could either sit down or lay down. There were 100 people there. And the guy pressed play on a tape. And an hour later, my dad woke up and never smoked again for 24 years. So that was pretty
How much
impactful.
Nicotine was in that tape?
A lot. Yeah. It was intravenously fed. And, but yeah, so, I mean, I saw like, it's part of like kind of my hypnosis story is that I saw my dad walk through the door without a cigarette in his hand or his mouth. And I had never seen him make an entrance without it.
Wow.
So, I knew like it was real, and I was still young enough and impressionable enough to not like, I wasn't jaded to think, oh, that's bullshit, if
Right.
that's okay.
That's fine. That's allowed. I'll allow it.
Thank
Hold
you.
on,
Thank you
judges.
very much.
I'll allow it. Yes.
Balderdash. And
Right.
so, so I had an open mind to it, but I'd seen stuff that looked pretty suspect. And the full thing is I had never hypnotized anybody until my first show. I had literally talked my way into a show at a comedy club without ever performing, and then hypnotized. The first person that I ever did it with was my only volunteer on stage that night.
So you had never hypnotized someone before.
Nope.
And the first person you hypnotized was, well, arguably the doorman, but you brought so you were like, I'm not going to practice this. I'm going to just do it live.
No, I did practice. I practiced my ass off. With teddy bears.
Oh my God.
Yeah, with my daughter's teddy bears.
Well, I guess you don't need people in the rooms. You really believed it would work. You were like, I'm going to practice the techniques. I'm going to practice these techniques on inanimate objects, and then you just okay. So what was that experience like? So you hypnotized this person. What'd you have them do?
I had them do basically what now is 75% of the show I've done for 12 years. So I put them into trance. And just to give you a breakdown, I'll run through the show, or the idea of the traditional hypnosis shows. The first 5 to 7 minutes, I'm just talking to the audience about what hypnosis is and what it isn't, so that people can kind of either get rid of ideas that they had, or, put things to rest, questions they may have had, or that kind of thing.
Sure.
I then bring people up on stage. There are things called instant inductions that I'm able to do, where I can drop somebody with a handshake. And again, and that
yeah. Well, what? I mean, that's Steven Seagal levels of power. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's amazing. But so there is that. There's instant inductions. You can do that. The thing is that's how kind of, I don't want to say fragile, but I
mean, look, man, if you just said sleep to me right now, I'd fall asleep because I'm just tired anyway. I'm just tired.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we're in a state where that's how much we're in a state, is that it can be put there like fast, like so fast. It's a sub-second.
Yeah.
And it's amazing stuff. But so I then put people into trance, but usually, even though again, it can take a second with a handshake or less, I usually, if I'm putting 20 people down, I usually do a spiel that lasts 3 minutes. And it takes maybe 3 minutes and then 5 minutes max if I'm also checking out the people, because I'm making sure as I'm putting them into the trance, part of it, which is a kind of dramatic, there's really cool music playing. It's an experience. As I'm doing this, I'm also testing the people throughout the induction to make sure they're in states that I think they should be. Because there's a thing called an Aaron's level of trance, where you can be in light stages, like the way that you are when you're engaged in a watching a movie or watching an improv show or a conversation, where you're completely locked in, where if something kind of like comes at you peripherally, you're like, whoa, because you're so engaged. And then there's, deeper states where, and even things like highway hypnosis, where if you're driving for a while, those lines just, people drive off the road,
Is it the same as like when I've been driving and then I'm like, I've gone a couple of,
you're like, how the hell did I get here?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, where did that time go?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it went into a singular focus. And that hypnosis initially was coined monoideism, but it's not, that exciting. So it got changed into hypnosis, which is, kind of a Greek or Latin for sleep. And it's more than that. I'm just
sure
adding that part. But so you go into this singular focus. That's why, like, when we're bathing or showering, and we have brilliant ideas, and I believe we're capable. Everyone's capable of brilliant ideas, if not daily, more than that. But they come at times when our body is distracted by doing an action like bathing, washing our hair, washing our body, something we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of times. It's such a rote, memorized thing. So it frees our subconscious mind to think. And because we're distracted with this little minutia activity, our subconscious mind is able to have like great ideas. The only problem is we leave them in the shower. We go, oh man, that's amazing. And then we don't think about it again.
Right.
And that's the same thing happens in car rides. Those same times when you're pulling up, you're like, oh my God, I'm at this intersection already. You just had some brilliant idea that you've just foregone because of the fact that, you didn't realize you were in a trance. So now it's, gone. But, we have
wild.
These kind of experiences all the time.
Yeah, those shower thoughts, right? That's a popular thing online, the shower thoughts, because
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, if you've there's a on Reddit there's a subreddit called Shower Thoughts, and it's just like these things that people realize, because they're like, oh, I didn't realize this is. I have no examples right now, but they, because they have, because you're in the shower and your brain has a chance to just, I guess, free connect because you're just doing
you're
this.
Distracting the guard. It's the same thing that happens when I put someone into trance. I'm the guard that's consciously calling out bullshit, because part of our brain is always calling out bullshit on stuff. It's the active part of the brain.
Right.
And every time we hear something that's somewhat new, we either call bullshit on it because it's not in line with our current way of thinking, or we accept it because it is. And we're always looking for that. So what I do and what we do when we're driving or taking a shower is the guard goes asleep. I put the guard to sleep. And then I'm able to shoot in suggestions of you're a rock star, or you don't want to smoke anymore, or you don't want to eat snacks the way you do, or you want, whatever it is, whether I'm doing a show, it's really a very similar process. Whether I'm doing a show or whether I'm helping somebody make behavioral life changes, the process is identical. One, just the words are a little different.
Can a person hypnotize themselves?
Yes.
With these thoughts? Can they inject during these times? Could they inject these thoughts? Because I find that I make changes when I am in the middle of doing some tasks, or I'm driving or I'm showering. You know what? It's time to really, focus on this thing. And then I make those changes. But it started in those places.
Yeah, those little conversations.
Yeah, it's like it happens in my head. Like right now I'm working out again. I'm doing a month-long routine, Todd Blue's workout routine, if anyone's interested. It's a 2-month program of different weights and different exercises, and I've been really upset because I've had this weight rack behind me that I haven't used, even though I have been home, but I haven't just been home. I've been in the middle of a pandemic. But,
sure.
I finally said, I'm going to do that. But I didn't do it because of any active thing. It happened during one of those quiet moments like you're talking about. Is that this kind of the same thing?
Yeah. I think it is, and also I think that's our connection to our own higher consciousness. I think that's the voice we should be listening to. Because there's two voices, if not more than two voices, and one of them supports our best choices, and one of them wants us to do the easiest thing possible. And we're in a battle all the time between those two voices, and we're at our best when we take the high road, literally. And, and I just got finished listening to a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, who's just an unreal dude. If you haven't heard about him,
that name sounds familiar.
He was a Navy SEAL. He was also involved in the Ranger program. He's the only person to ever go through the Navy SEAL Buds training and Hell Week 3 times.
That's how I know him from Buds training.
Yeah. And you can choose. We're all basically. He suggests we're always trying to find the easy way out. And if you want to really make gains in your life or whatever you want to do, you have to kind of force yourself to do something uncomfortable every day, something you don't want to do.
Right.
And I know that when I first quit smoking myself, because I smoked on and off over a bunch of years, one thing that helped me that kind of ties to this is a friend of mine challenged me to, at the end of a shower, turn it all the way to cold and see how long I could stay there. and it's to prove that you have the ability to, kind of sustain and pain. So it's
Right.
mind over matter. So, you can ultimately put the cigarettes down. You can ultimately, and hypnosis is a lot easier than that. I've met with, I have a 1,000% batting average. Every single person I've ever met with ever has quit smoking.
Wow, that's incredible. Are you still doing that now?
I only do it like if, a couple years ago, I ran into somebody. There was an Uber driver I was talking to, and I happened to mention it. And then I hypnotized him and his wife, and then their friends had me come over and I hypnotized them. But like, I don't market it or anything like that, or,
But
yeah,
see, it's just amazing to me that you're walking around. You have this ability to just help people stop smoking, and no one knows it. They just pass you on the street. This is like an incredible. I mean, cigarettes just kill thousands of people, and it's we got to get you out there, man.
Yeah, I got to do that. Well, the funny thing is, in Florida, there's a law against it. If I didn't hold a doctorate degree, if I wasn't a clinical psychologist, it was against the law for me to use it other than entertainment purposes.
Of course. Florida.
I don't know what the law is in Colorado, but that's, now mind you, here's how hard that would have been. Everything I would have marketed myself with, lose weight, quit smoking.
Sure,
for
yeah.
entertainment purposes only. That's all I would have had to have said.
Yeah.
I had done that. I used to, like, when I would work clubs, if I did comedy clubs that were out of town where I was staying over, I would do a show Saturday night, and then Sunday morning I would do a weight loss followed by a smoking cessation session.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So,
Well,
if people were staying there, they could get a quick session or something. So.
That's amazing. Well, I feel like I've learned a lot more. I'm so glad, because I really wanted to sit down and talk to you a little bit about hypnosis. And one last question for you.
Sure.
What is one philosophy of improv that you would give to a new improviser?
If you've never improvised, if you've never done it, just act as fake as you normally do in real life, and no faker.
That's so good. That's such good advice.
Yeah. So that's been my go-to.
That's a great way to put it. So, Patrick, and my last question.
Yes.
Truly last question. Did you at any time hypnotize me during this interview?
Not to my knowledge. But
All
that
right.
doesn't mean that you didn't get hypnotized anyway. You could have gotten so wrapped up. And we're back.
Well, anyway, Patrick McInnis, everybody. I'm Wayne Brady. I've had a great time. Catch me on Whose Lines It Anyway, and we will.
It worked.
Well, you got me. No, that's when you snapped your fingers. It scared the hell out of me. I was like,
I bet. Yeah.
God.
We're easy targets.
I don't want a cigarette, so
Honestly,
I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe that helps.
I mean, if you want to have some fun, for those of you that are still listening, go look up Hypno Sculptor. There's a guy out of, I think, the Philippines or Thailand, but he's an amazing guy. But he does ambush inductions, and they're all for fun. He doesn't rob anybody or do anything. What he does is he drops somebody in a second, and then he puts them in a pose that they hold for minutes.
Oh my God.
And it's so fun. Like, he does one he stops these two people on a subway, man and woman. He drops the man first and puts him on his knee. And then he drops the woman up the stairs and then like holds her hand up, and it's Romeo and Juliet.
Oh.
He drops another guy sitting on a park bench, drops a guy and leans him back. And he looks like he's Neo from the Matrix, like dodging bullets. And he holds a position literally for like 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so
Patrick, where can people
find me?
You?
I guess I'm trying to get some stuff started. Maybe it'll be in the comments below. But I'd say if you look me up, Patrick McInnis, artist and educator on Facebook, you'll find me there. And then hopefully that'll direct somewhere else when I stop using Facebook.
Oh, brother, I know. We got to get out of there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Patrick, thank you so much. Again, great to talk to you.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so good to have you. All right. Well, we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
If you're here for improv, go away. This is Other Than Improv with